It's time now to sample Honda's all-new CBR1000RR. Following the lead of its totally redesigned middleweight sports weapon, the CBR1000RR, back in 2003, this summer Honda unveiled its brand new open-class CBR, designed to be the starting platform for all superbike racing efforts here in North America. At the heart of this CBR is a totally redesigned engine that sports twin fuel injectors per cylinder, a solenoid-controlled ram air system mated to a solenoid-controlled flapper valve in the exhaust collector. Plus, there's a 6-speed cassette-type gearbox. Up front, you'll find 310mm rotors with 4-piston caliper brakes. Meanwhile, out back, there's Honda's newest generation ProLink suspension unit. And speaking of suspension, there's also a new Trick electronically controlled steering damper. So how does the new package all work? Well, we invited a veteran sports bike rider and graduate of the Fast Riding School, Steve Bradford, to sample the new 1000. And here's what Steve had to say after some low-altitude flybys for our experienced cameras.
So Steve, I know you're a big fan of sport bikes, and I know you're a big fan of big displacement sport bikes. What was your first impression when you threw a leg over this morning?
It's tiny. It doesn't resemble an open-class sport bike in any way. It's as small as a 600 class cc bike that I rode at race school a few years ago. It's really small.
Really small, but lots of motor.
It doesn't lack in the motor department. I've probably not ridden anything with as much throttle response as this 1000cc bike.
Yeah. Lots of grunt, lots of smooth linear power.
Lots of power right off the bottom. I test drove this thing. I had it in first gear at 80 kilometers and I've moved it right up into the top gears. Smooth, pulled from all of them, right up from like 2,000 RPM without shuddering, shaking.
Right.
Pulled very nicely.
Fuel injection, no hiccups or burps?
No hiccups at all. I mean, it really is like perfect fuel injection.
Yeah.
Touch of driveline lash if you rolled on and off the throttle. You could just feel that in the chassis and that was it.
Now what about the transmission and the clutch actuation? How did it shift?
The thing shifts great with or without the clutch. The clutch throw is really nice and light. Engagement is very positive.
Yeah.
And the transmission never missed a shift, went cleanly right into the next gear.
Yeah. It's got this wonderful new styling cue, the exhaust under the seat. How did it sound? Did you like the sound?
It has a great sound. It's actually fairly quiet, which surprised me, but when you open it up and let it breathe, you can hear it. It's snarling at you.
Yep, yeah,
really
I know you ripped by our truck once and you could certainly hear it.
Yeah, it's got a very nice sound.
Sounds very nice. Now, earlier this year at the press introduction in Las Vegas, Honda made a real big deal about those front brakes. Are they as good as they say they are?
I didn't hear the press introduction for the model, but I can tell you the front brakes in this bike are phenomenal. I've never experienced brakes that have that much power, initial bite, yet are flexible and smooth. I didn't really feel I was going to be locking up the front end on this bike, but phenomenal power when you wanted it. 1 finger, 2 finger, no need for 4 fingers on this machine.
You know, Steve, when I picked up this bike yesterday, the first thing I noticed when I threw a leg over the bike was this. This is a steering damper.
Absolutely. This is an electronic steering damper. From what I've read, this is the first of its kind in motorcycling. It basically provides very little to no assist at low speeds and then ramps up the amount of damping that you're going to get through the steering bars. Through the course of riding today, there was zero head shake in this motorcycle, and yet it was really maneuverable in the parking lots.
Right.
So it wasn't interfering with my line selections.
Well, let's talk about the riding position. How did you find all that? The cockpit layout, the saddle?
Well, the seating position, like we talked about earlier, is very small, very 600 sport bike, from sort of a relationship from the pegs to the seat to the handlebars. There's consequences for that, and the riding position is very cramped.
So the whole package is very aggressive, and so therefore the riding position is very aggressive. Fit, finish, styling, paint?
I'd say typical Honda. The fit and finish is really good. I think they've designed it very well. Nice little touches here and there. No rough edges. It doesn't look plasticky, even though there's a lot of plastic on it. Nicely thought out, nicely executed design. It's a sexy looking bike. It's got an awful lot of performance potential.
Who would you recommend the bike to?
This is somebody that's got probably some racing credentials or has a lot of years experience on sport equipment. This takes a person with sharp skills to match the abilities of the machine. And I really have been humbled, and I respect the performance potential of this modern open class motorcycle.
Wow, that's a lot coming from you. I guess we'll have to sign you up for a few more track days.
Done.
Okay, thanks for coming out, Steve.
Thank you very much.